So I think really it's relying on your health carers to just be there and back up, support. Admiral nurses from the hospice, they're great. They're there. They're at the end of the phone. You can ask them any question you need to ask. And they will give you the help that they can at the time. So never be afraid to ask a question. That's my important thing. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't think, oh, I'd better not bother them. Bother them. That's what they're there for.
Accept help. If you have friends or family that offer to help and to give you a break, I would take it. I think there's a tendency, particularly if it's a couple and you've been together a long time, it's hard to let some other people in, whether that's paid carers or family members, because you want to do it yourself. I think that's what my mum wanted from. She wanted to do it herself. She wanted to be there and to do it all. But the thing is, you can't. You actually can't. Nobody can run a 24/7 care home on their own with no holidays and no breaks. And that's how it will be towards the end. That's maybe a tough thing to hear. But I do think if we talk about this at earlier stages, then you can actually put some things in place.
We went to a dementia awareness course at a carer centre, which I particularly found quite useful. There is a common perception of dementia of people just losing their memory, but there's much more to it than that. And the course gave me some insight into, to some extent, what to expect, but also the nature of what dementia is like and what it's about and how it affects people.
My advice would be just to remember that you're not alone, and it's such a massive change to not only their life but obviously the family's lives as well, and just to not feel like they're on their own and they have got a massive support network out there.
Speak to the health professionals involved around your relative. See where they can signpost you so you can get information so that you are empowered about what might happen and where your relative and you would want to influence that. I would encourage you to look at websites and support sites, and it depends upon your a GP's practice to some extent. So very often I'll have a patient with dementia and their relatives aren't my patients. I offer them an appointment I'll say, come and speak to me if you're worried, come and see me. Book the appointment in your mum or dad's name and I'll see you.
From the care home, they can come and speak to the manager at any time. There's an open door policy. There's your clinical nursing staff, your care staff. There's your GPs. We have a fabulous hospice who have an Admiral nurse and Annick, who are always helpful with advice. We have charities and a list of phone numbers who they can contact. Taking breaks, recognising when you need a break. I think it's useful to talk to professionals. They can give clinical advice, but I think talking to people that are going through the same thing is really helpful. Support groups are usually helpful for people. Just saying, my mum or dad does this, yes, so does mine. And you can get a bit of insight into what's happening in the future. People in later stages of the illness, or you can help people into, yes, my dad done that last year. And reassurance for each other. This happened with my dad, it was short-lived and he quickly moved on to this.
As a GP supporting families caring for someone with dementia, one of the most important things I'd say to them is to recognise that their health is equally as important as the person with dementia. They must look after themselves, because if they're ill, then they can't look after that person. That they must seek out as much information about the illness and sources of support as is possible, and that they have someone, might be the GP, might be a social worker or a dementia nurse or advisor, who acts as their key care coordinator or care worker who they can turn to help them in coordinating care throughout the illness.